Are you in the habit of making New Year resolutions and also failing by them year after year? In case you are, you could find the contents of this video interesting, even helpful. Therefore, a warm welcome to all those who are interested in the subject. It's universally true that people do make New Year resolutions because as the birth of a new year approaches, people enter into a very special kind of emotional state and they begin to think of improving themselves, and therefore they resolve to lead a better life in the coming year than they managed to do in the year about to depart. But for good reasons, these resolutions are not maintained for long and they die young. And in this video, we shall do two things. One, examine some of the possible resolutions we could make. Number two, also come to a certain understanding of why it is that people fail to abide by or comply with or stay steadfast on the resolutions that they make. As regards the first part of the video, I'm going to derive my material entirely from a book which is the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, who was a leading figure of the American War of Independence. His life spanned the 18th century. He was born in the first decade of the 18th century and he died in the last decade of the 18th century. His autobiography makes very interesting and profitable reading, and I'm happy to recommend this as a possible read for 2025. I'm delighted to note that many of my friends in this YouTube fellowship are good readers, and that's a very happy trait, common culture that we share. That's the reason why I make references now and then to certain books which I feel everyone could read with profit. Now, this book, which is the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, I'm going to derive this material entirely from pages 86 and 87 of that book. Now, I give the page numbers for ready reference to benefit those who consult or who would consult this book. So, in this, Benjamin Franklin gives us a list of 13 possible resolutions, and this is based on his own experience spread over a period of time. Now, obviously, I will not have the time in this video to offer detailed comment on the 13 different possibilities. So, I'll only make bullet point kind of references without pausing to offer detailed explanations, which otherwise I would have loved to. But then I have respect for the limitations of human nature, limitations of human patience, and my own patience is not inexhaustible, and therefore, being realistic, I do not want to tax your patience beyond permissible limits. So let's get started. What were the 13 different resolutions that Benjamin Franklin took from time to time? The first was the resolution to practice temperance. Temperance. Now, here defines his idea of temperance very crisply as follows. He says, eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation. It's easy to remember this. Eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation. Put very simply, what it means is that if you do not discipline your eating habits, or if you incline towards gluttony, your intellectual interests will suffer, because overeating has a deadening influence on your brain, which is scientifically true, because when you eat, the circulation in the blood gets somewhat readjusted to allow more blood to flow into a digestive system, which is necessary to absorb the nutrients, which are the metabolic byproducts of digestion. And to that extent, that much blood is reduced in flow towards the brain, and therefore you feel dull in the brain. So if you are interested in develop your intellectual powers, eat in moderation, and also at the same time drink also in moderation. Do not drink to elevation. Elevation means giving yourself a feeling of high. In other words, becoming drunk. So that's the first principle. If you can manage without alcohol, that's the very best. But in case you feel that you must give yourself a drop or two, please remember the principle of moderation or temperance. Temperance. The second possibility. So those of my viewers who are inclined to regale themselves with that substance which is universally believed to bring some cheer into their souls, please practice temperance. The second resolution, possible resolution, is to practice silence. I have a great deal to say about practicing silence. Maybe that could be the reserve for a future occasion. But here let me only read out what Benjamin Franklin has written. He says, "Speak not, but what may benefit others or yourself." Before you say anything, ask yourself a question. Will what I propose to say benefit my listener or listeners, or benefit myself in any form? If not, please refrain from talking. Avoid trifling conversation. That's what Benjamin Franklin says. There are many people who are very eager to be heard, but have nothing to say. Speak only if you absolutely must, and only if you are sure that what you say will be beneficial, helpful to others and to yourself. And do not blabber, do not go on chattering, do not become a chatterbox. Practice the discipline of silence, which is also the art of speaking relevantly and briefly. So that's one possible resolution that we can take, because the way we use our capacity or our power of speech is very important. If you indulge in trivial conversation, then your ability to communicate powerfully will be dissipated. So, as a person who practiced public speaking, I also practiced the art of silence. Many people think of me as someone who talks a lot, but actually, silence is my food. If you come and live with me, you will realize that for the most part, I'm absolutely silent. And that's the investment I speak in the ministry or the mission that I practice. By the way, there are people who believe that I live in great luxury. I invite all of them to come and live with me, and if you can survive 2 days, then I'll give you an award for it. Anyway, so silence, practice silence. The third possible resolution that we can take is maintain order in your life. I remind you it again, this is not my list. This is a list that Benjamin Franklin has given us in his autobiography. So, practice order. Let all your things have their places. Do not create chaos around you, right? Let each part of your business have its time. So, order with respect to place and time. Let everything be in the right place and do everything at the right time. Now, this is a very, very important discipline to maintain. It can really abolish half of our misery if it is practiced sincerely and earnestly. The fourth possible resolution that we might consider taking for 2025 is be resolute, or improve your capacity for resolution. And this is what he says about it. Resolve to perform what you ought. If you think that you have to do something, please go ahead and do it. Don't postpone it. Procrastination is the very thief of time. So resolve to perform what you ought, perform without fail what you resolve. If you take a resolution, like New Year resolution, you must resolve to honor the decision that you make. That's how you build your power of resolution. The power of resolution is an important factor in the power of your personality. Therefore, young people who are listening to me, if they would gain a lot by improving on their capacity for resolution. So that's the fourth possible area of improvement. The fifth resolution we could take, according to Benjamin Franklin, is to practice frugality. We are living at a time when life is characterized by a great deal of wasteful expenditure. In fact, people try to show off their wealth by inflating their wasteful habits of life, which is extremely unfortunate, and it also weakens their personality. So Benjamin Franklin says, practice frugality, and this is the explanatory sentence he offers: make no expense but to do good to others or yourself. If you decide to spend money at all, make sure that that money is well spent and it will do some good either to others or to yourself. Do not go around shopping just for the sake of shopping. A lot of shopping happens out of sheer psychology. People who are frustrated with themselves, people who harbor resentment, people who feel their life is empty and vacuous. They try to treat themselves by psychological shopping, that is, shopping undertaken because of their psychology. It's not dictated by any practical need or necessity. So, waste nothing. And that's an important decision to take in our life. And there are very many areas in our domestic life where we can economize. For example, to just give you an offhand example, when you use your tap, when you open the tap, you don't have to open it full. Open your tap only to a quarter of its capacity. Otherwise, a lot of water is wasted. Now, you don't benefit from it, and there's a general loss. So, small things. For example, I have found, and I wash my own plates. Whatever plates, cups, glasses I use, I wash them immediately. And I wash them myself. Why? Because if you allow the washed plates and utensils and cups and saucers to remain, then you have to use detergents to wash them clean. If you clean whatever plates, cups, saucers, etc., you use immediately, then plain water will do. And it will do a good enough job. You don't have to use detergents. So on and so forth. But it's not the time for me to give you an exhaustive list of how to the various ways by which you can economize. So that's the fifth principle. Practice frugality. Frugality. That is, be responsible stewards of your resources and avoid the wasteful way of life. Do not waste anything at all, not even a drop of water. Do not waste your words also. Do not waste your time, for example. Do not waste your energy. And do not waste your dignity above all. Now, the sixth possible area where we can take a new resolution is industry. Industry means the habit of working very hard work, industry. And this is what Benjamin Franklin writes: lose no time, be always employed in something useful. Do not be lazy, do not let time hang heavy on you, and do not complain of boredom. Industry is the best antidote for boredom. Are you feeling bored? It means that you are not hardworking enough. So it's a disease that we can treat. So lose no time, be always employed in something useful, cut off all unnecessary actions. Much of our time is wasted on unnecessary actions. What they are, you know best. And let's resolve that in 2025, we will examine the substance and structure of a day and decide which actions are necessary and which are superfluous. And also decide that our time will be gainfully and meaningfully employed. That's the sixth area. Now to the seventh. He says, resolve to be sincere. Resolve to be sincere. Avoid all kinds of play acting, deceitful ways. Do not try to take people for a ride, so on and so forth. Do not be too smart. Be sincere. And again, let me give you Benjamin Franklin's words. Use no hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And if you speak, speak accordingly. Speak justly and innocently. Right? Now come to the seventh. The seventh possible resolution that we can make is stand by justice, practice justice. And Franklin writes, wrong none by doing injuries or omitting the benefits that are your duty. Be fair to everyone. As Jesus said, do to others what you would that they should do to you. Love your neighbor as yourself. And treat everyone kindly in an understanding manner. Be charitable in your ways with people. So practice justice. Now, that's the eighth possible resolution. Now, to the ninth. Resolve to practice moderation. Moderation. And this is what Franklin says. Avoid extremes. This is a virtue that Aristotle recommends in his book on ethics. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. We are apt to exaggerate the hurts that befall us. Look at them more critically, and then you realize that you don't have to be provoked so much, or you don't have to complain so much. The hurt or the injury that you suffered is not all that grievous. Okay, so moderate your responses. Now, the 10th possible area of New Year resolution is cleanliness. Swachha Bharat Abhiyan. Cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanness in body, clothes, or habitation. Keep your body clean. Keep your clothes clean. Keep your surroundings clean. Includes also your room, the inside of your house, the inside and outside of your house, your habitation. Habitation is a word that includes everything, the inside and outside of your home. So, cleanliness. Now, the 11th possible area, which is tranquility. Tranquility. Be tranquil, be serene, be peaceful. Do not get worked up. I have to admit that this is an area where I have to improve myself. So, very likely this will be my New Year resolution. May God help me to stick to my resolution and practice my resolution throughout the year. Tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles or at accidents, common or unavoidable. Many things happen in life. This is a Stoic virtue, by the way, the virtue that Stoic philosophers greatly recommended to people. Be tranquil. Do not allow yourself to be upset, nonplussed, disturbed. Do not throw a tantrum. Do not throw up, ill temper, so on and so forth. Do not overreact. Be tranquil. Maintain your serenity. Now to the 12th possible area of New Year resolution, chastity. Chastity, the purity of our being. Rarely use venery. Now, venery is not a word any longer in use. It was a word in use during Benjamin Franklin, so it was the 18th century. Venery actually means sexual indulgence. Sexual indulgence. Venery, V-E-N-E-R-Y. Venery. This word is not used at all today. But out of modesty, where Benjamin uses an archaic word to refer to it for stylistic purposes. Rarely use venery, but for health or offspring. In other words, maintain your sexual relationship within the confines or the remit of matrimony, never to dullness, weakness, or the injury of your own or another person's peace or reputation. So that explains itself. Do not become a slave of your passions, rather attain self-mastery so that you exercise these God-given powers and potencies in a life-friendly manner and not in a manner that would cause hurt or injury to others or to yourself. And finally, we can resolve to practice humility. Of course, humility is a much misunderstood concept, and especially in the Christian context, humility is equated with obsequiousness and complacence. Complacence means the eagerness to please everybody. Complacence. Complaisance. Complacence means eagerness to please everybody. In the process, you sacrifice truth, you become dishonest, and you abase yourself. All that is not humility. Humility, says Benjamin Franklin, was best exemplified in two characters. They could be your role models for humility. He mentions Jesus Christ and Socrates. His Benjamin Franklin's role models for humility were Jesus Christ and Socrates. So these are 13 possible areas of New Year resolutions. Now do not embrace all 13 of them at once, then you're sure to collapse. I suggest that you accept just two, one or two, not more, and try to concentrate on practicing these two resolutions throughout 2025. Now, as a few words regarding why people fail to abide by their New Year resolutions. Now, nothing happens simply because we take certain resolutions. Resolutions have to be translated into actions. Now, the most crucial factor here is what's called willpower. Willpower. Now, unfortunately, willpower is not adequately developed in a vast majority of people. Or rather, willpower is developed only in very, very rare instances to the optimum extent. Now, in the life of Jesus Christ, he was subjected to temptation. He was tempted by the devil, 3 different types of temptations. Why was Jesus subjected to these temptations? Basically, the temptations are the means by which we test the power of a person's will. If our willpower is not developed, then no matter what resolutions we make, we are sure to collapse, because to translate our resolutions into action, we need a certain extent of willpower. Now, willpower can be developed. How do we develop willpower? By consciously correcting ourselves. For example, suppose you decide to practice the art of silence in 2025. You will find that on the very first day itself, you break that rule. But you become conscious of it, and then you practice for the next, say, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you practice silence. Again, you may relapse. But as you go on attacking this problem over a period of time, you will find your great relief and your joy that you have made progress. And in the process, your willpower also has become stronger and stronger. And that added strength in your willpower will stand you in good stead in all areas of life. And therefore, there are added benefits to abiding by the New Year resolutions that we take. And that will also strengthen our personality and intensify the impact, the beneficial impact that we have on other people. And that's greatly to be desired. So, taking New Year resolutions and honoring them or abiding by them has 2 important benefits. One is that we improve ourselves. Secondly, as I said just now, we also increase the power of our personality, which has multiple benefits, all-round benefits, and it is greatly to be desired. Therefore, let's resolve, first of all, to make some New Year resolutions, and then also resolve that of the New Year resolutions that we make, at least one or two will be selected and acted upon consistently over a period of time. Now, let me conclude by saying that the only way to ensure that we have actually succeeded in translating our New Year resolutions into lived realities is by making these resolutions our habits. Our habits. Now, habit is a state, and when something is turned into a habit, we reach a stage in relation to that particular thing where all conflicting pulls and pressures are resolved, and practicing that becomes natural to us. At the point of taking your new resolutions, this is not natural. For example, practicing the art of silence, or practicing the art of tranquility, practicing the art of industry, so on and so forth, is not natural to us at this time. That's the reason why we have to make these resolutions at all. It's alien to us. But we have to so grapple with this issue. We have to so struggle with our weakness in abiding by the resolutions that we have taken that over a period of time, the otherness of these resolutions or the substance of these resolutions is gradually reduced, and it becomes assimilated into the very texture of our being. And that's what we mean by turning them into habits. For example, you have developed the habit of having your morning coffee or morning tea. Nobody has to really force you. You do it naturally. You go to the kitchen and you turn on the kettle, water boils, and you make your tea. And you sit and sip your tea, and maybe you like to sip your tea even as you read a newspaper. That's a habit you have formed. Nobody has to force you. You'll never fail to do it because you've turned it into a habit. Likewise, you can turn all the 13 items that Benjamin Franklin has listed here into your habits. And if you can make all of them your habit, I tell you, your life will be transformed. So it's possible, to take sensible, helpful New Year resolutions. It is desirable to do so. And if you take these resolutions and abide by them, your personality will gain tremendously to an astonishing extent, and you and all around you will benefit. And in this context, I'm reminded of the beautiful words of Jesus Christ as found in the 14th, 15th, and 16th verses of the 5th chapter of Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus says, "No one lights a candle and puts it under a bushel, but on the candlestand, that it may give light to all in the house." So, taking these wonderful, meaningful New Year resolutions, working at them, and making them your habit over a period of time is comparable to, is similar to, is analogous to lifting the bushel that covers the light of the lit candle so that it begins to give light to all around. Your personality will be a source of light. All that light means to those around you, those who are with you. Your home will be blessed through you. Your surroundings will be blessed. Your place of work will be blessed. Your associates, your friends, your children, your family members, your siblings, everyone who associates with you will be blessed if your personality is incandescent with these lights that Benjamin Franklin has suggested. So I conclude my words here, and I take this opportunity to wish all of you a very meaningful 2025. And the way to make the meaningfulness of that a reality is also by taking some of these very sensible, significant New Year resolutions and making them work until they have become a natural, spontaneous aspect of your personality, and it becomes the flavoring agent of your personality. And I pray that it happens in the case of all of us. May 2025 be a landmark year in the life of everyone. And may this also be a landmark year in the life of the people who suffer in various pockets of tension and bloodshed, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, now in Yemen, and maybe, who knows, the turn of Iran would come, many countries in Africa. So may peace return to these regions, and may better sense prevail, and may humankind realize that living together in harmony is a better option than inventing enemies where none need to exist, and pursuing peace for oneself through the diabolic strategy of exterminating others. I can't think of anything more diabolic than this. May God heal the earth and anoint the human condition with the balm of peace and comfort. Thank you, and thank you for abiding with me through all the way through 2024. I cannot be grateful enough for the goodwill, for the love, the affection, and above all, the patient endurance that you have exemplified, from which I have greatly benefited. All the very best. See you soon.